So this session is going to explore how online educational resources can help us address, big surprise, the affordability challenge for day schools. And by online education, I'm talking about what could actually be quite a wide range of things. On one end of the spectrum, we're talking about a potential scenario in which the entire general studies curriculum is provided through some online mechanism. And on the other end of the spectrum, it could be where maybe one or even partial course supplementation is the only thing that you use online technology for. But there's quite a wide spectrum of what we mean, and we'll explore that a little bit, and obviously it has ramifications for cost. I'm joined today by Ariev Gellman, who is the director of the Pre-Collegiate Center in East Brunswick, New Jersey, which opened this September, and by Rachel Abrahams, who is the senior program officer at the Avi Chai Foundation, who is focusing on these technology issues. And both of them will help us understand what's out there. So I also want to point out that I did not get the memo on the uniform and the color scheme, so I apologize. So you know what, Lauren, I'd like to start with you if possible. You talk about the online learning in your school as blended learning. And if you could help us understand what blended learning is in the context of online learning, and maybe how it's differentiated from other ways of describing it.
Sure. We consider ourselves an example of blended learning. Can you hear me?
Use your button green.
Yes, dear.
That's good.
Maybe it's
We need her to be louder.
Okay. We are a model of blended learning. My definition of blended learning is anything that combines some traditional method of teaching or instruction with something more technology-based. So one example of what we do is we use, for our math program, we use a company called ThinkWell, which is these wonderful video textbooks where the students can watch a really excellent first-grade teacher give lectures and do questions on that. But we combined it with an on-demand tutoring service so that any question they have, if it's a simple question like, what's 3x plus 4 equals 12, someone can help them work with that. Or if it's a more specific question, a more general question like, what is scientific notation? Somebody can also help them work with that. And in addition, we have proctors, people around who they can also ask the question to an actual person. So that's blending sort of a more traditional method and a more sort of technology-based method. The example I think that people are most familiar with is the Khan Academy, which is an online school, I guess now, that people are using. He calls it flipped education. And a lot of public schools are using this where the students can watch the lectures online, and watch it at home or wherever, and then the teacher in the classroom can help them with the work. So that's another really good thing.
That's great. And I actually just want to point out, since you referenced ThinkWell, that online learning can be accessed both through private organizations, yes, and charters as well. I think in the resource materials that you received in your binders, there may only have been a reference to online charter schools, and in fact, it's not the only model. Rachel, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how online learning actually can be a tool for cost reduction.
So I'll just say that our experience, I'm a program officer at Avi Chai. We began working in this area about a year and a half ago. And what I'm going to say is I think what we are beginning to see, or what we think are areas for cost reduction, none of this is really proven yet. And one of the reasons that we're involved in this is because we think it demands exploration and experimentation in order to really realize whether the benefits and really to explore what the benefits are. So I'll just highlight what we think current models have shown. So number one, online learning allows for individualization and differentiation within classrooms and schools. On that basis, you can collect a tremendous amount of data on how students are doing on the online courses that they're taking. We believe that that allows for less support services within schools. Teachers become more capable of monitoring different levels of students within their classes and being able to support math levels on a grade that might even only have 2 or 3 regular classes, but math needs a lot of differentiation. If you put your brightest students and perhaps your weakest students online, you don't need as many faculty members or as many sections of math. Of course, that's, again, as we said, there are many different ways to employ this. You could have all your students be on the program, and then they go some of the online learning that's providing data to the class teacher, who then can monitor all the students. So there's different ways. But what we believe is that it allows for fewer levels and for support services. Obviously, a big piece of looking at online learning is imagining different HR structures for your school. So for instance, most schools, especially at the high school level, are interested in electives, AP classes, different languages, and often schools are starting from hiring when offering those classes because they don't want to hire a teacher for the 4 or 5 students that might want to take that specific elective. If you can enroll your students in an online class, whether it's through a private vendor that you need to pay tuition for, and in some cases we can talk about later through online charters, which might even be for free, depending if they're funded by the government. Again, that allows possibly for cost savings. We'll hear from you later, but one of the areas that many schools are exploring are the notion of not using, I guess, what we would call expert content teachers to monitor the students that are working online. The online teacher is the expert with the content knowledge, and the person that the student is interacting with in the brick and mortar school is more like a proctor or a facilitator. It's someone who needs some degree of understanding how students work and some knowledge of the content, but not necessarily at the level that we're all looking in general to hire. Obviously, that also allows for possibly not hiring as many full-time faculty members, which allows, again, for cost savings. And I think, again, we as a community have to sort of change the vision that we sometimes have for what traditional schooling looks like. And yesterday there was a question, I guess, exactly in the opposite direction about hiring more faculty because that's a benefit to schools. Here we're suggesting that it might actually be a financial benefit to schools to hire fewer. And I guess lastly, I just want to say that we hope that, I think, and this is especially true beyond the Orthodox community, that the notion of offering both more kinds of classes and technologically based classes will attract students who might not have considered high school education in the past. Right? You're able to offer Japanese at your school. That can attract a student that might have gone to a private school down the block because they offer Japanese. So again, in the Orthodox community, it might not be as much of an issue. Orthodox students tend to go to day school, but in the non-Orthodox community, I hope that not be a cost savings, but a potential additional revenue.
Thank you. So for tuition at your school is $5,000. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about how you enable that and where the costs, how it programs go?
It actually, it has to be, the first question you asked me and the question you asked me. So the first part has to do with the application of technology. For example, in math, the K-12 programs are $200 a year per kid. So right now we have 20 kids. So figure that one kid is much, much less than a teacher would be, and it's at a really high level. So even if you throw in the tutoring, you throw in other things that you need to do, you're still saving a lot of money there. Another example is foreign language. We use Rosetta Stone. So again, our kids have a choice of 30 languages, and 3 of them actually are taking Japanese at the moment. And a lot of them actually are taking 2 languages. So right now, Rosetta Stone is about $350 per class. So even if they're taking 2 and you have 20 kids, it's still a lot less than hiring 1 full-time language teacher. And we can offer, right now, our kids are taking 5 different languages. So it brings down the cost and it increases the opportunities for the students as well. And the other half is what Rachel was just talking about, which is changing the structure of the teaching. We actually don't have any full-time faculty. We have people, and one thing that I think I would disagree about is that our faculty, I think specifically because they really know what they're doing and can do it well. But there's a lot of people out there who aren't interested in a full-time job. We have an English teacher right now who happens to be a poet, and she happens to have 2 small kids. And so she wants time to be home and be with her kids and write her poetry, and having something with us where she comes in 2 days a week is just perfect for her, and it's perfect for us because she's an absolutely stupendous teacher and really knows what she's doing. And again, also in the English studies area, there's a lot of people in our community who are very happy to come in and teach a group of kids a class, which again works better because you can customize for the specific groups of kids and what they want to learn and what their level are and things like that. And not have to do, okay, we have to take this because this is what our higher teacher can do. So the cost comes down in both those areas, both in using technology